Andrew White. Some may call me a baby boomer. It means I was born between 10 and 15 years of the Second World War. It's our group that has seen progress like none other. Think about it. 4x4s in the 60s, even the early 70s. The only ones you'd ever see driving around were farmers' vehicles, maybe a few military vehicles. And that's obviously not the case today. So what makes four-wheel drive so popular? Why are there so many about? I doubt it's got anything to do with needing four-wheel traction in today's roads, which are wider and busier than ever before. I think it's got to do with looking good, feeling good. Well, maybe not always looking good, but certainly it's definitely cooler to be driven by four wheels instead of two. The other side is fun. Four-wheel drive is just plain fun, and that's what this series is all about. We're going to begin with some off-road driving skills, some basics, and then we're going to begin a sort of journey. We're going to take a rather ordinary pickup truck and we're going to turn it over the next few weeks into a most fabulous off-road expedition vehicle. And then go on another journey to the wonderful remote land called the Kalahari. But first, when do we engage four-wheel drive? Let's make this simple. Think about safety. That's your first priority in any vehicle. If engaging four-wheel drive will improve safety, then it's time to do it. Let's say, for example, you're going down to do some off-roading and you arrive at the dirt stretch before getting to your destination. That's the time to engage four-wheel drive. Why? You don't need it. You don't need four-wheel drive on a gravel road. But the safety implications of applying four-wheel drive are significant. The reason why traveling on a dirt road you use four-wheel drive is because of that event that you are not expecting. The truck that comes in the opposite direction forces you off the road. With four-wheel drive you have so much control that engaging it increases the safety. For those vehicles with so-called permanent four-wheel drive, what you need to do at that point is engage true four-wheel drive. You lock that center differential. Without the center differential locked, you are not in four-wheel drive. Don't be fooled by the expression permanent four-wheel drive. Let's look at how this all works. This Land Rover Defender has full-time four-wheel drive. During off-road driving, it's quite common that one or more wheels leave the ground, like here. If this vehicle is in four-wheel drive, then why does it stop if just one wheel leaves the ground? It's because of its differentials. They allow the wheels to rotate at different speeds. There's one between the left and right wheels, front and back, and on this type of transmission there's also one in the middle between the front and rear prop shafts. True off-road vehicles are equipped with the ability to lock this center differential. And when it's done, it means that the power is equally split between front and back axles. In this case, by locking it, the rear axle is being driven again, pulling the vehicle out of its predicament. The vehicle is now in true four-wheel drive. This proves that a full-time four-wheel drive vehicle with its center differential unlocked is not in four-wheel drive, and therefore the safety advantages of four-wheel drive are just not there. It is important though, when returning to a firm surface, the center differential must be unlocked, or in the case of part-time four-wheel drive vehicles, the vehicle returned to two-wheel drive. The additional tyre wear and the additional wear on the transmission is so negligible, and the increase and improvement in safety is so significant, there really is no debate here. So many accidents occur on dirt roads because of an emergency lane change or change in direction. An animal appears from the bush or there's sudden need to swerve the vehicle. Now, At the skid pan at Duratec, what we're going to do is simulate exactly that. Here, 40 to 50 kilometers an hour is equivalent to about 80 or 90 on a dirt road. Now we're going to drive it in two-wheel drive and do exactly that, an emergency change in direction in two-wheel drive. And then we're going to do it in four-wheel drive. And you'll see a remarkable difference. And hopefully this will demonstrate to you that there is a real reason for engaging four-wheel drive when you're on a gravel road. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing in four-wheel drive. Same speed. Okay. In two-wheel drive, after initially stabilizing the vehicle, the trailer behaved like a wild snake. It rapidly became dangerous as the speed increased. Four-wheel drive, however, tamed it completely. So, most importantly, four-wheel drive should be considered a safety tool first. Not all 4x4s are created equal, especially in the eyes of the customer. When somebody buys a 4x4 and walks into the showroom, when they take the vehicle away with them, they immediately start thinking about how they're going to change it. Because customizing a 4x4 is part of the excitement of off-roading. No vehicle is going to be perfectly adapted to a specific customer's need as it leaves the floor. So this is a typical example. I've chosen this Land Cruiser and my passion is off-road exploring. I have a family, so I'm going to have to do some work to convert this one. I'm also passionate about really long distance remote traveling, so I'm going to have to do some more work to a vehicle that is actually designed for farming and mining. So the first thing I did after taking delivery of this brand new vehicle was to hand it over to Miano and Sons workshop, where they cut it up. They've been cutting up Land Cruisers for about 20 years, and their latest and greatest creation is just what this vehicle needs.
Okay, we get in a normal Land Cruiser pickup. The first stage is we cut the back of the cab off using a plasma cutter. We cut the whole cab off, we alter the exhaust because of the floor that's being dropped. We got to drop the exhaust as well to get it underneath the floor. And then we remove the old body and cab mountings on the side of the chassis. Then once it's been done this far, then we go on to the next stage, which is down the bottom here. Okay. Once the cab and that's all been cut off, we repaint all on the chassis where the mountings have been cut off, and then it gets this built-in roll cage where seat belt mounting points and everything gets bolted into the framework that we got here. Yeah, this is the frame here. Everything gets primed in a red oxide primer before we start paneling. And then it gets electro-galvanized sheeting on, and it all gets welded into the cab to make it a built-in roll cage. See, these are all the pieces we got bent up here, the bottom sills, the top sills, and all that go in. Okay, the next stage, the back of the cab goes back, and all the panels get welded inside. The floor goes in, the roof goes in, everything goes in there. We put an extra 2 roof sticks through the roof, and then the roof is butt joined onto the front roof stick. Then once that's finished, and all the welding and everything has been checked, then we go on to the next stage, which is this other one over here. This is now one which is basically, everything is ready. It's now been completely primed in a red oxide coast coat primer. We prime it to stop any rust starting underneath and all that type of thing. And then once this has been flattened down, the whole thing gets coated in an MS primer and all the smaller marks are taken out. From there it goes into the paint shop, well, like the next one that we've got ready for the paint shop. These are the doors that we make up.
Okay, obviously the front door stays the same?
Yeah, the front door stays exactly the same, and then we make up a complete new back door. This is how we do it, yeah? We first make a frame, which is a complete framework, which fits in, we make it to fit in the hole in the vehicle. Then once that's all been fitted and everything is right on the hinges and everything, and then we panel it on the outside here. Then we make a panel which is the same profile as the front door. So all your lines and everything are the same as your front door. We've also had curved windows made which fit in, so it takes the same curvature as your front door as well. Okay, the back body, we also cut down with a plasma cutter. We cut off the same amount we put in on the cab. Then the front panel gets worked and fitted back into the front of the body. So it works out the same as a double cab back body. We put an extra reinforcing bar through the bottom here, which is welded into the subframe, and then we make new mountings on the front of the body so that you're carrying the weight from the front of the body as well, not only just bolted on the four back mountings.
Okay. How long does the process take about?
It normally takes about 6 weeks, but at the moment we're delivering about 8 vehicles a month. We use the Toyota handles, which is the same as the front doors. This one is now getting plastic on, and then the door panel goes on top of that, so you don't get any dust coming through into the interior of the vehicle. This is the upholstery where we do our upholstery. Sharon is busy now putting the door panels, the covers on the door panels. That's from beginning to end.
It looks so simple, but it's so complicated.
Yeah, it looks simple, but it takes a long while time to do it. And there is a lot of work that goes into it.
After 6 weeks, a total transformation. They've just wheeled it in for me to see, and I see that it's already attracted some admirers. Let's take a look inside. Nice comfy back seats. They don't quite match the front seats, but it doesn't really bother me too much. I like the Land Cruiser because of its size, its ability to carry heavy load, and uncompromised reliability. This two-seat farm truck has completed the first and most difficult part of its conversion, but we haven't nearly finished yet. Land Cruiser is designed for a life on the farm or a life down the mines. I'm not going to be using it in those environments. I am going to be using it exploring the outback. The suspension on this vehicle is designed to be comfortable on the open road, but actually a little uncomfortable on very rough surfaces, and that is to prevent drivers inadvertently overstressing the vehicle. So the first modification I'm going to change the suspension. I went to chat to Stuart Bailey of Bailey's Off-Road. I regard him as one of the most knowledgeable in his field, and he has a Land Cruiser just like mine.
Depending what your vehicle is going to be carrying is going to determine what suspension is going to be the best for that vehicle. Okay. So if you're going to take this vehicle here, we've got a 170 litre long range tank at the back, which is behind the axle. You've got 45 kilograms in the tank. You've got a double wheel carrier, which is another 80 kilograms. We've got a canopy, which is 30 kilograms. We've got a roller draw, 55 kilograms. We've got a 115 litre water tank, which is another 115 kilograms. Plus 20 kilograms in the weight of the tank. You've got roof rack, 55 kilograms. We've got toolboxes fitted on the outside. So all your other little extras are going to add into another 80 kilograms. So we already on like 500 kilograms.
So you go to somebody and you say, this is my plan. I'm going to put 500 kilos load on this vehicle on an average trip. Mm-hmm. Okay, give me springs that'll suit.
Okay, so...
Is that the way you handle it?
Yeah. Correct. You got to find out what is your end goal, because not everybody's going to be putting it all on at one time. Yeah. So you got to work it out. Okay, you're going to do it in stages. How long are you going to do it in? Yeah. What period of time are you going to do it in? If it's going to be over a year, then you don't want to run around with 600 kilogram springs in the back of your bucky.
Yeah.
So what we can do then is we'll put in, say, like 400 kilogram springs, and when it starts getting up to the heavier, then we then put in the extra blade in later.
Oh, you can do that.
You can do that, yeah.
If
And
it's
then,
a blade, if it's a leaf spring,
correct.
but not if it's a coil.
Coil, then what we can maybe do on the coils, we then have to go to a, depending what it's going to go, the common one is normally like a 400 kilogram, a constant coil, and then we can, if it still doesn't bite and you need a little bit extra, we can then insert the Firestone airbags.
Airbag. If I don't have enough money to do the whole thing, what is more important, shocks or springs? Or which should I do first?
I think that depends on mostly what suspension you're going to be fitting in. If you're going to be fitting an aftermarket suspension, which is going to give you lift as well as axle articulation, then you're going to have to go for shocks first, because your standard shocks are not going to have the reach to accommodate the aftermarket suspension, the springs or coil springs. What we could say, well, as you can see here, we've got aftermarket shocks and coils, okay, which have been put in to accommodate for the extra weight, being the winch bar, spotlights, the extra weight that is hanging in the front of the vehicle, plus at the same time giving it that increased ride height and increased axle articulation.
Can you go too high and create a safety issue? Like get springs that gives you too much lift, and now you've got an unstable vehicle at speed.
There's a lot of people out there will most probably disagree with me, but I say yes, you can. And I think you'll find the reputable aftermarket products will definitely, like I say, keep it to within that OE specifications, but allowing the vehicle that constant ride height, which the standard springs can't achieve. As soon as you start putting extra weight onto it, they start sagging.
Okay. So how do I know whether I'm being sold a one that is going to be within those OE specifications or not?
You'll have to come to Bailey's for that one.
Okay, cool.
Cut.
Now, see, you've got air. You call them airbags, air springs.
Air springs.
You've got now. If I've got now an unmodified vehicle and I put in air springs to help the load, good idea? Bad idea?
Bad idea.
Why?
The reason being, these are to assist the springs that you're putting in the vehicle. They are not springs in the sense of carrying load by themselves. So what I've got in the back here is 600 kilogram springs with air helpers. So the time comes when we want to put a little bit extra in the back, and the back of the car hangs down a little bit, pump in the airbag to get the rake of the vehicle right, so the rake of the vehicle is now level.
Okay.
Or if in some cases, some people pull a trailer, hook a trailer on the back drops down a bit, you then put a bit of air in and get it level again.
Taking Stuart's advice, I went ahead and fitted replacement springs and gas shock absorbers. Of all the pieces of equipment to fit on a 4x4, the single most important item is a shock absorber. Gas shock absorbers, I suggest. Why gas? Well, shock absorbers are full of oil. On a rough road, especially corrugations, surfaces like that, the oil gets very hot. It gets so hot that bubbles form in it. Now, air can be compressed, and what happens is, you've got a vehicle heavily laden roof, and shock absorbers that start to fail. And now you have a dangerous situation. Gas shock absorbers don't die as they get hot. And it's bloody sulfur. Next week, we'll talk to Ted Garstang, one of South Africa's leading experts on shock absorbers. I'm going to ask him about gas shock absorbers. Why is this such an important factor in a four-wheel drive vehicle? We are at a small town, well, not town, place called Hotazel. We're in the southern Kalahari. They've had so much rain here, they're thinking about calling the place Wetazel. Well, anyway, what we're doing here is we're exploring the Kalahari, but we're also exploring ways of camping, ways of using our 4x4s in the bush, ways of pitching tents, camping, cooking, having fun in the bush. So welcome to We've overnighted a small encampment. We literally pulled over to the side of the road. We've travelled up north. We're going into the central Kalahari now, and we're heading for a village called Kunsi. We will meet our other party there today, about midday, and then from Kunsi we expect that travelling is going to be a little bit slower, thick sand, as we head off in a westerly direction to the woodlands of the Western Kalahari. Is there another Shell service station?
No, sir.
Did you see two vehicles here waiting for us? One with a trailer.
I see one little one. She was gone that side.
They've gone that side. Okay, well, we'll scout around town. The town is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Let's drive around and see if we can find them.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
One of the purposes of our trip through the Kalahari is to gather some experts in the field of expedition travel to find out what they know. You just switched your cell on?
Yeah, to see if you...
I can't believe that in Kunsi, of all places, they have cell phones.
Signal?
Joining us is Charlotte du Toit. Charlotte is recognised as one of South Africa's pioneers of the camping industry.
About an hour ago.
Okay.
Not even.
Okay, we had a bit of a fuel consumption problem with the Land Rover, so we kept speeds low.
Right.
And that's why we're a little late, and we had a little bit of mud yesterday, which slowed us up a little bit as well.
Yes.
But, phew. And John and Sue Rich. They own and operate one of South Africa's best off-road driver training schools in Natal. Good, all right. Their bush cooking is legendary. Oh, good. Oh, well, that's brilliant, because we arrived not more than 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
And Charlotte was first, and she arrived about half an hour ago.
Did you have a good trip up?
Yes, not bad at all.
Good.
So Gwen, how are you? How are you?
Very well.
Yeah, great to see you.
Dad, here are her shoes. The next thing it's thorns.
Yeah, true.
Steve? Hello, Steve. How are you? I'm John.
And Steve Searle and his family. He heads the camera crew.
And you are?
Thomas.
Two Toms, eh? It's going to be trouble this week.
We've got two choices, okay? We've got like 3 hours. We want to get camped by 5 o'clock or before.
Yeah.
There are two campsites I want to set up. I want to camp on a pan or next to a pan. We're going through pan country.
Yes.
Then I want to go to the woodlands.
Okay.
The woodlands is at least 4 hours of grinding sand. So I think because we're running a little late, we'll go on the way there and we'll find a pan, because we're kind of going through pan country.
Sure.
What do you reckon?
I reckon that's good.
Let's do that.
It
now.
means driving now for probably 2 hours, maybe 2.5. Let's fill up everything, water, fuel, the works,
Yes.
Okay.
and then we'll be in the middle of nowhere for the next 3 days.
What range do we need, Andrew? Fuel?
Oh, fuel range. I think 450 to 500 kilometers. I think we're fine, really.
Plenty, yeah.
No, Katie, it's going to pitch.
You want to take it? I'll give it to you, huh?
In this.
In the circle. Tom?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wait, Thomas, don't touch.
Don't touch me.
Jonathan.
Now, please share with me what was supposed to happen, Charlotte.
Well, I think it's an old folklore that they say they think it's a snake and they won't move over the edge there, but bang goes the theory.
Right, we're going to Matsatleng Pan. We've got a GPS coordinate where we can find the cut line. So finding it is going to be a little difficult, so I'm going to ask the GPS to help me. Okay, go to After a 2-hour drive, we decide to pull over and rest for the night.